Welcome to the Healing Dreams Project, exploring projective dream work for your health and wholeness.
Okay, this is I have this recurring theme where I used to have this beautiful office up at Second and Arapahoe in Boulder. I worked for Victor at that time, but he was hardly ever there. He was always traveling, and so I did a lot of dream work there. I had a dream group that met in the evenings for nearly 10 years. I worked on the phone with people in the back. I did the groups with Ron over the phone. So I did a lot of dream group and did my job for Victor in the same place. And then around 2015, he decided finally to close that office and have me work from home. But I ended up having to do pretty much all of it on my own because he went to Hawaii. So so anyway, I kind of became a little traumatized over that whole thing because I had to coordinate everything and get all the furniture, some of the furniture sent to Florida, and take care of all this old law library that was ancient and needed to be recycled. And just we were there for like 25, 26 years in that office. So it was a lot of stuff. So I always have this dream where I often have a dream where I go back to that office. Sometimes it looks like the way it looks in Waking Live, and sometimes it looks very different. But it opened off to this kind of park area with a lot of trees, and there were a lot of deer and things that would come by. So it was really an exceptionally beautiful place. But most of the time what happens is I go back and I say, oh my God, I left all this stuff here. I left books, and I left boxes of clothes, and I left even sometimes there's toys and things. And I think I left all this stuff here, but we haven't been paying rent here for a long time. Why didn't they just throw this stuff out? And then there's this kind of misunderstanding of like, well, oh no, I better grab it all up and take it home or deal with it. So over time it's evolved where I'm less and less stuff appears. So this was a dream from actually July 31st, so not all that long ago. But and I dream that I go into this lower storage unit, and this has appeared in my dreams as well, and other dreams. And it's not like but it's like a carved out of the earth. It's like a more like a cavern. And there's this lower storage unit, and there happens to be this bed that's made out of like blocked wood, and it's probably like a queen size bed, very simple blankets and things on it. And in the around the bed and into the next area, there's all kinds of things, like there's high chairs and blankets and a baby walker. And then then I realized that I go even further and deeper into the storage unit, and that's where I find the even more carved out area. And this has shown up so many times in my dreams over the years. There's like vases and glass ceramics and glass vases and fragile things that are in this storage unit, which I somehow know belong to like not only me, but like my aunts and uncles and things. Um, and this is a weird part. I forgot about this. I'm surprised that there's this little girl that keeps talking to me, and she says her name is Donna. And the more that she speaks, the smaller and smaller and smaller she gets until she's like the size of a little doll. And that kind of freaks me out. It gets me, I say her, I'm a little scared. And then there's this man that's sitting in a chair with his arms back like this. And then I realize he doesn't have a head. But then his head reappears. So I end up talking to Child Protective Services about um, a Child Protective Services man about how to donate these baby things. And he tells us, no, 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 we have a glut of donated items. Um, and there's somebody with me who's female, and it seems familiar, but I never see exactly who it is. End of dream.
Yay. Thank you, Billie.
You're welcome.
Wow.
So I want to just think out loud. Perhaps I'm projecting. I'm also just reflecting, not just, I am reflecting, with the possibility that we may use this very tender sharing and recording of your dream with our dream community. I am wondering how we hold this dream today, in the sense that when we usually interview someone, we have an introduction, and we have a kind of a sharing of the landscape of who they are.
Right.
So what I'm noticing about this today is that we jumped into you, Billie, sharing a dream. And so that speaks to me of how authentic and how vulnerable our experience is today. We didn't know we were going to do this consciously. And the dream knew, the unconsciousness in our souls perhaps we're ready before our conscious self is. Right. And that too is that's a beautiful piece to hold and to honor and to be aware of, that we don't know where the dream goes. We are open for the path, and just like when us three are together exploring dreams, we don't always know where we will go, nor does the dreamer. Right. So I want to just honor the unpreparedness of this, and accept that as a beautiful gift that we have, being together, being unprepared, because this is what living is we don't have a plan. we are just who we are.
We never have a plan. We flow with the dreams.
That's right. And that's what life is a flow. And we have the illusions that sometimes give us hints of direction. Yet, Viviana is correct. So I wanted to begin that way.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Billie, I wanted to ask if there were more descriptors about Donna, the little girl.
It's like she doesn't seem human. It's almost she's already doll-like. I think she starts out like the size of a small child, like maybe 3 or 4 years old. And then as she keeps talking, she gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And somehow that gets me really scared. And I'm not sure exactly why, but it just seems like, and then there's the guy without the head. So I'm like, wow, where am I? But and I think she has like blonde hair. She's white. She kind of like, maybe like a little bit of a chubby face. And she's just got this sweet little voice, but just gets squeakier and squeakier and squeakier as she gets little.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, when I heard the dream, I just felt, wow, that's a part of me. What happened to me when I was 3 or 4? And the fact that the more I speak, the smaller I feel, and the more vulnerable,
Oh.
the more weak, the more timid, the more shy, the more unprotected. No one's,
Mm.
I'm just like retreating
Mm-hmm.
and getting super small.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just would ask, as Royce would say, dreamer's choice,
Mm.
what happened when I was 3 or 4 that maybe made me feel this way?
The big story that I heard about when I was around 3 years old, and I don't remember this consciously, but this was back when doctors would make house calls. And apparently I got a very, very high fever,
Mhm.
and I was just flat. And back then, the understanding was if you have a fever, you got to sweat it out. So my parents had wrapped me in all kinds of blankets and things to sweat out the fever. And so the story is told that Dr. McFarland comes to the rescue, and he says, "Oh my God," he says, "cool this child down." And they started opening windows and pulling all of these wraps that they had wrapped around me off to cool me off down. Like I said, I don't consciously remember that myself, but that was a story that I heard repeated many times. And I wondered why my mother and father repeated it so often, because I thought, well, apparently you didn't know what was going on, and I could have died. So, I mean, but that was the old wives' tale of how to do it. I mean, Royce probably remembers that too.
I've been through it too. I had
Yeah,
pneumonia and I was wrapped in blankets and sweated like crazy. So yeah.
yeah. That was the belief. So that's the biggest thing that comes up for me at 3 years old.
And the fact that if it were my dream, every time I speak, I get smaller.
Mm.
What does that remind me of?
Oh boy. Um, Pretty much everything. I was told to sit down. Because I grew up in the South, everybody went by two names. So I was called Billy Cheryl. And so it's like, Billy Cheryl, sit down and shut up. If I heard that once, I heard that 1,000 times. And so when I was this kid, like, bouncing around, um, sit down, Billy Cheryl, sit down and shut up. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I was told to do. And also, I got to add this too. I was uh, a pretty gifted little kid. I mean, I could tell like who was on the phone before they picked it up, and I had a lot of and of course I had very vivid dreams, and
Hmm.
there was this sense of that was part of the reason why they told me to shut up a lot, was because I would speak out these truths, and it upset them a lot. And that's not only just my parents, it's my grandparents and my uncles and
Mm.
my extended family. Yeah.
The ancestors, which also came up in my dream in the form of as I go in deeper into the cave, I
Mm.
go and see more fragile items, the glass items, the ceramic items, the vases that belong to my ancestors, my aunts and uncles. And so there's something in there too that might need a little uncovering,
Mm.
because as I walk through,
Yeah.
it gets deeper and deeper, but there's the diamond in there.
Mm. Wow, that's good. Yeah, like the deeper we go into the mine, yeah, we're gonna find the treasure. Yeah,
Mhm.
So
that's
I would
good.
ask myself, what is the diamond in this
Yeah.
dream, or where's the diamond in uncovering my ancestors' fragile
Yeah.
tendernesses.
Right. Yeah. It's good.
I'm curious that an, this is another time when I just so appreciate projective dream work instead of interpretation or analysis. And Viviana was, in my projection, was doing that so beautifully, because it's so tempting to say, okay, here's a child. This has got to be Billie at a certain age. And it's like, what is this about me? This is where the truism, the truth of my soul comes. And for me in my dream, I am so ready to find this diamond or whatever it is at the bottom of the well or inside the deepest parts of my cave. This dream has been coming to me in some form for years. And this time, and other times, and this time, this dream is taking me. I'm going deep, deep, deep into that part of my, into the cave of the unknown. Yeah. And I'm so ready for this. I love that the doll's name is Donna. And the listeners won't know this. However, as we were talking before we were recording, there is a very loving presence in the dreamer's life whose name is Donna.
Right.
And I have some, it's like, how does that Donna and this Donna come into the dream? And if this is me as the doll, which I believe this is for me, I am renamed, and maybe not renamed. It's like, this is who I am because this Donna in the waking world is my advocate. So as I shrink and I am afraid, and fear is not a bad thing. Fear is a good thing. So I think I feel really vulnerable. This is my little self feeling very vulnerable. So as I'm watching the Donna soul shrink in my dream, I'm feeling that vulnerability. Now, this also has a different definition, a different power. This is the Donna in me, yes, and this is also me. Right. So I have this beautiful energy with me as I shrink and feel again what I felt like as a little tiny child. This time, though, I have this being called Donna, who is my awaking life angel to me.
Yes.
So now here's another piece. I get goosebumps about this is I don't know what reality is. I can make guesses and projections. I'm wondering if this is me taking a trip back in time, and as time in dream folds in on itself, past, present, and future, past, and present are all the same. Right. Perhaps in my waking world, one of the reasons I survived an awful childhood is because this woman who, 55 years ahead of time that I don't know is with me when I'm 3 or 4 or 5.
Wow. That's that makes me feel tingly all over too. It's like, that's a really interesting, because I've been watching these videos about quantum theory and all this, and who knows, nobody can explain it, but that how things react differently once they're observed and stuff. And that makes me think that, it really is happening all at the same time. because there was this big connection even when I first met Donna. It was like, immediately we became friends, very, very quickly, and very close friends. And she's been wonderful in so many ways. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This kind of brought up something. I just immediately thought of belladonna. Belladonna was poisonous and unsafe for human consumption.
Oh.
But let me keep going. I'm reading here. When used by the students at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in the potions class, I just heard it whenever I watched those movies, and I just love that it's magical, yet possibly dangerous.
Right.
So again, I'm drawn into Donna and her energy, that I might feel the danger, and at the same time the healing behind. If I can dig deep enough, that might be under there, covered, underneath the shell that I may have put around, or the cave I may have put her in.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Like, the possible poisonous and the healing, one and the same. Yeah. Wow.
Well, a lot of these, I'm super into herbs,
Mm-hmm.
and but this is of course a theatrical or from Harry Potter series,
Right.
But I love potions and things, and I'm always drinking teas, and I heal myself with just herbs, and I have an herb garden. So anyway, that's why I thought of belladonna is a plant, but just specifically in Harry Potter was the definition that I was bringing up.
Cool. I like that connection. That's good.
The dangerous opportunity crisis, if this is correct, I'm not able to speak Mandarin. What I've understood over the years is that the word crisis in Mandarin, or some version of Chinese anyway, is dangerous opportunity. Dangerous opportunity.
Oh, wow.
Pardon?
I'm just whispering opportunity.
Well, yeah.
I'm very familiar with this.
Yeah, dangerous opportunity.
Yeah.
One cannot.
Crisis.
Yeah, dangerous crisis, dangerous growing, dangerous nurturing, dangerous love. Oh, I love that. Dangerous love.
How about tragic into magic, weaving tragic and magic.
Wow.
Which is also similar. But yes, in Chinese, it's crisis equals opportunity.
Oh. Well, I've had plenty of crises, so world of opportunity opening. Yeah. That's
so if I in my dream embrace that the waking life Donna in some tragic magic manner is actually with me in my child energy, waking life child energy. And that may be why, in part, I survived, and or my waking life connection with this woman called Donna reminds me so much of that part of me that saved my soul back then. All of this is true. All of the above is true, metaphorically and or literally. And here I am. And now I'm dreaming about this. I'm so ready to go deep into the cave, and all my artifacts are there. My ancestral energies are there. And some of the artifacts out of my own waking life as a baby, as a child. I see all those things. And it's like I'm passing through. And the dream isn't coming just to kind of show me how I've done, because I've done quite well in the waking world. And I love people, my work dreams, and I'm a healer, and so the dream is also saying, and here are more gifts that I'm not consciously aware of that are for my good, my goodness, my healing, my wholeness, and my nurturing. And I have a feeling there are more opportunities to keep having this dream. I need this dream. This
Yeah.
dream is kind of leading me into great, great places for my own growth.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, it's the one thing I was just going to say, the one thing I do know about dreams is that these recurring dreams, there is something that I'm missing along the way, because otherwise it wouldn't still be repeating. And see, this one's different because it's not specifically at the office that I left, but it reminds me of a storage unit that I've dreamt of before that's underground. So then it's sort of like there's these two kind of simultaneous recurring themes. There's the underground cavern storage, and then there's the, oh my God, I left a whole bunch of stuff behind at this beautiful office. And there's always this sense of, why is it still here? Because I keep thinking that why wouldn't it have it just been, somebody would have thrown it away, because somebody else owns this place, this house or this storage unit or whatever. And in the office dreams, somebody else has moved into that office. So I'm thinking, why do they keep the stuff just sitting there? I mean, I wouldn't do that, because and I always think to myself, it's been so long. So that's kind of the usual feeling about it. Just confusion about why it hasn't been thrown out. So
That's huge.
yeah, check it out.
It just, yeah, why? I'm so confused. Why can't I still figure out my younger self, my Donna self? Why can't I figure out what happened, or why why this headless man? And sitting on a chair, he has a head and then he doesn't have a head. He doesn't have a head because I don't want him to have a head, maybe. Or then I do see him, and then I see him clearly, and then I have to talk to Child Protective Services.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Which is,
if I would have had the number, I think about that all the time when I see these things. These kids now, they're like, they see these TV programs and movies and stuff, and I never knew that there even was a thing called Child Protective Services. I didn't know that. So if I would have had the number, I would have called him. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
no. Yeah, I'm just drawn to the fact that this headless, after the headless man sitting there, I talked to Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
So what does that say to me? What does that mean? What does that bring up for me?
You mean like kind of like cause and effect? Like the minute I see the guy, then I think of.
As I heard the dream, a man sitting in a chair doesn't have a head. Then the head reappears.
Yeah.
The very next sentence is, I talked to Child Protective Services.
But there's a man there that works for Child Protective Services. So there's a separate man.
Okay.
Like, that's probably not
yeah,
clear.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, it's not that clear the way I told it, but yeah, there's a so I talked to a man. It's written backwards, that's why. So I talked to a man from Child Protective Services about donating these items, like the high chair and the
Right before that, though, start from a man sitting in a chair.
Right. So there's a man. I noticed. So Donna keeps shaking. I get scared, and then I see a man sitting in like a desk chair, and he just doesn't have. It's like there's no head at all. Like there's just a hole. where in his neck. And I'm like, oh my God, this is getting more and more scary because I'm already scared. And then I'm like, ah, and then suddenly his head comes back. And that man never says anything, and I never interact with them. And then it's like scene change.
Ah,
I'm talking to another man, and he's somehow in the storage unit and there's this woman that's with me that's unfamiliar, and I never see her. No, she is familiar, but I never actually get a full look at her. Um, and I tell the guy from Child Protective Services, I want to donate all this stuff. Like, I want to help clear out the storage unit. And he says, no, 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 we have a glut of too many donated items. So he just rejects the idea. Like, no way. So and then I just realized that there's this woman who's with me, but I never get a full look at her or anything.
So in my dream, this man behind a desk that doesn't have a head, he just kind of has a hole, a cavern.
Yeah.
And then I don't interact with him.
No, I know, it's like I'm stunned. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just like, whoa, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and I remember thinking to myself, this is like a nightmare, because when the girl started shrinking, and I got scared at that point, then I kind of like turn around the corner to the next part of
Mhm.
the cavernous storage unit, and I just see this dude sitting there in a chair, and just, I know it's a man, and it looks like a man's body, just no head. And it's not like gross and bloody or anything. It's just, you can just see flesh and things there, but it's not like overly um
So
gruesome.
I do see his face at some point.
Vaguely, just really vaguely.
Oh, a
Yeah,
vague.
just kind of like I
Okay.
see the head appear, and then the
Okay.
very next scene is I'm with the Child Protective Services guy, and I'm kind of like I'm asking him for help. I'm saying, I really want to donate everything that's in here, because I'm thinking they're usable items. It's like somebody needs a high chair, and somebody wants these blankets, and somebody wants, I'm like that. I always have to think about somebody needs this stuff. And so my husband calls my car the moving garage sale, because because I always have something that's going somewhere for somebody else. And it's like, oh, I want to give this to Patty. I'm going to give this to Karen. Donna can use this, and it's because I'm always thinking that people need whatever crap I have. It's probably, they probably don't care, but it seems important to me to find a home for everything.
What a beautiful statement I just said. I need to find a home for everything. That's very touching as I hear that.
Oh.
Um, I, so this headless desk man instead of a headless horseman from
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Halloween. Well, no, whatever. I forget the author who wrote that. The Headless Horseman.
Oh, the Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. People will remember when we bring it up. But so this headless desk person, man, this is kind of odd. I am startled, of course, and yet I'm not terrified where I run out.
Right.
And I don't know. Is this being a kind of transition person to introduce me to the man from CPS,
Yeah.
Child Protective Services? My projection on the CPS guy is there's some wisdom. This is coming out of my male energy
Mm.
that says, kind of harsh, we don't need that shit. We don't need it. And it's also a way for me to have to keep it. And
Oh,
and
true.
this is not a negative thing. This is part of who I am that has been a part of my makeup helping me form and reform and create and recreate who I am.
Mm.
So I do need to own this for myself. I know in the waking life, I'm a pretty generous soul, and I do love to give things away. In the dream world, I'm not this way. I need to be more, I need to hold on to some of these artifacts, maybe all of them, so that I don't lose sight of who I am and where I'm going. And in the dream world, it's kind of like cyberspace. We can have, multiple caves of artifacts, and there's always room in cyberspace. There's always room in dream world.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're going to run out of room. Anyway, I'm wondering if the headless dude is some kind of a transition figure to prepare me for the truth of the CPS person, because it's startling.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps my head says in my dream, I need to get rid of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so the head disappears, and then it's so vague. And then it's like, no, I need to keep the artifacts. That they are my fingerprints. They are my soul prints for myself.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of, thank you. That hit home. I can see that. I'm trying to unload it, and he's going, we don't need that energy. This is yours. Yeah.
And this doesn't mean this is, if the dreamer has a goosebump, okay, that means something is on target. The beauty of this kind of work is that if we had 20 people, there may be 13 that say, no, that it's something else. And that too may be true, at least it would be for them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And so there are multiple meanings in this amazing cavern.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck a little bit just because of the way I heard it initially. So what if this headless man were my father? I don't know if that's super literal, and I tend to be literal. But that's how I would. What about my father that makes me so scared? That makes me feel small. I would see it as an opportunity to maybe journal about what was it that made me so scared. What was it that he said? What was it that he did that I still hold on to? And even though I'm trying to get rid of some of this and trying to shine light and trying to figure out in my dream world, it keeps coming back. It keeps recurring. If there's some stone that I haven't unturned, for me, it would be a call to journal. I'm a huge journaler, and I tend to journal right after my dream sessions.
Yeah.
It's just to see if there's something else that I overlooked or something. And that I find huge value in that. So it would be an opportunity for me to do that. That's what I feel. It's just so strange that this very scary man, after feeling that Donna's shrinking, Donna, me, my friend, my current mother-ish figure, my protector, is getting smaller and smaller, and then I'm faced with this headless man, this very scary, and then immediately, and then I have, and somehow in my brain, I'm talking to Child Protective Services. That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. Well done. Zing me.
Ooh,
Because I could have called Goodwill. I could have called anybody.
Right.
Say, hey, come and pick up all this shit.
Yeah.
I call CPS, as a therapist over the years, that causes the vibrations in the universe, the force is disturbed. I hear a story from a client, I have to stop what
Yeah.
I'm doing and call CPS. That it's that severe, that serious, the legal and moral ethical implications. Why did I choose CPS?
Well, I know what you're talking about, Royce, because it's called mandated reporter, right? That you have to,
Correct.
it's like
Yeah.
if you're a school teacher or you're a therapist, you have to.
A parent down
Yeah,
the street
right.
watching somebody else. It doesn't matter. Any citizen, and
Right.
especially professionals who, are
Right.
out there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mandated reporting.
Well, it something just hit me was that yeah, if I truly, if I could have, if I would have known that that was open to me, I would have told somebody and had that intervention. But see, this was the 60s too. So, I'm not even sure if there was a whole lot of things that were going on in the 60s that, I mean, wife beatings and different things that weren't necessarily, that could have been reported, but not, properly handled. I know that I wasn't the only kid on the block who got the belt, when something went, when you were, punished. So corporal punishment was, oh, and this is the thing that blew my husband's mind the other day, of spontaneous memory. Growing up in Lexington, Kentucky, when there was a kid in the school that did something that they needed to get punished for, you actually saw the kid get paddled in front of you. They had to lean across the desk, and it would depended on whatever offense. It was like, Tommy's gonna get 6 paddles today for whatever he did, and we had to watch.
Humiliation upon humiliation.
I remember that too.
Yeah. So if that happened to you, then you're wow. See, I mean,
Yeah.
so that's just, so this was the norm, you know what I mean? So not, my little kid self didn't think that there was anything that I could report, because that's how my day went. Oh yeah, Tommy got the paddle, for being late or whatever. And knowing from the kids that I knew, that I played with, the stories that they told me of their kids, so it all seemed normal. So that's the thing. I mean, it didn't seem abnormal until much later in my life, and then I go, wait a minute, nobody's supposed to be treated like that. So
I'm wondering, is this my father?
Yeah.
Is this a way for me to have my father represented in my dream?
Well, I just heard something kind of funny, but it's appropriate. Off with his head, it's like it's like,
Yes.
that's the ultimate punishment. It's like, off with your head, because it's like,
Yes.
and then
So
his head comes back. So it wasn't, permanent, but yeah. So go ahead, Royce.
well, I'm just thinking of and being aware of how the dream doesn't judge us.
Yeah.
And is not shaming us. We may feel shame. That is, the waking reaction. And so I off my father's head, this being that represents that father inside me.
Mm-hmm.
And how the symbolism here is so complex. This is not simple. How come, if I chopped off his head, how come his head shows up again? It's like, because here's my insight. I know others are thinking of this, because he doesn't really go away. He keeps coming back and back and back. And so it's like, yeah, I'd love to get rid of this stuff and give it to CPS. And, I need help. Yeah, sure. And this is risky, because I don't want to violate the dreamer's privacy. I'm aware of my own parents dying, and how this dream somehow is holding that journey for me to notice. And it's also wise because even though as a parent that I was wounded by deeply dies, I still have them inside me, so they don't really go away. Off with their head. And the beauty is, though, I'm aware of this. I can't change my history. I can change myself as I deal with my history.
Right.
And what an amazing gift the dream is giving me. I got goosey bumps on that one.
That's good.
Yes. I love that. I can't change history, but I can change how I deal with my history.
Yeah, I can reorganize my relationship to my past.
Yes.
That's how I like to always think about it. Yeah, and it's interesting how there were so many of the dreams of the office. I mean, it started out where the office was just filled with things. We're talking like furniture and all kinds of little knick-knacky things and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do about this? And then it evolves to where it's like less and less things are put in boxes and all this. And then the latest one, like I said, this is only from July 31st. It goes back to the previous dream I used to have way back with this carved out cavernous, it's like all dirt. There's no man-made floor or any only thing that's man-made is this kind of very crude bed that's made there. That's just block wood, very simple blankets and everything. And I happened to notice it. But then it's like, and that's funny that this is how the dream has now evolved to this. It's gone back to something that happened before, because I've dreamt of this cavernous place with the fragile vases and ceramics before multiple times. But the office dream kind of took place of that for a while, for at least, well, since I moved out, which was in 2015. So, God. Yeah.
The cavern has blended with my office dream. The cavern for me is somewhere very, very deep, very profound, very earthy.
Yeah.
Caverns of my head, wisdom, insights, intuition, ancestors, blending with my office, my daytime work,
Yeah.
my dream work. It's all melting together. It's fusing together. It's becoming the same.
Yeah. The real thing about the office in Boulder, that dreamwork was my secret identity, because I had this outward identity as Victor's administrative assistant. I did everything, signed the papers, wired the money back and forth, did all kinds of important things. And then at night, it's like Billie Dreamworker. And there was this man who used to take care of our plants in the office. And we ended up developing a friendship, and he was so funny because I would just, it was like the bat cave. Like I would just move things around when Victor was in town, making it look like a law office again, and taking the table that we used for the dream group, putting it back into the lobby, taking all my books and my beautiful singing bowl and everything. And William was so funny. He'd come in and he'd go, "Oh, no signs of the esoteric. Victor must be in town." I was like, yes. He knew the routine. So it was more than just, it really was a secret. And then what was really cool was that there was a back door. So when they locked the main doors of the building and we had the group after 6, everybody could come around the back and just come in the back door. And I didn't, and so it really was like, you have to know how to get in. So there was a lot of secret identity pieces to that too.
Oh,
Which is
absolutely.
pretty,
Oh, I love the Batcave idea, or the Batcave imagery.
yeah,
So on target
yeah,
for who I know the dreamer to be,
right.
and the darkness and the sleep and the wisdom and the work that bats do, and lead us into the caves of unknowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Went on for many, many years too. I mean, holding that tension of opposites of, here's who I am to the outside world, here's who I am to
Mhm.
the interior world.
Well, isn't that like we are? I mean, we are multiple beings at the same time, and only are it's like, yes, I have to make a living in the light of day, and I have also other kinds of deep work that I am creating a living. So both
Mhm.
are they're not juxtaposed, they're there together.
Yeah.
It's the light and the dark, the yin and the yang.
Oops. The oppositions. The things that I come, that it's almost like as I'm going through the cavern, there are different time periods as well in the
Oh,
Yeah.
dream.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first, I it's the lower storage unit, so it's down, and then
Mm-hmm.
and the bed is made out of a simple blocked wood, very, very simple blankets on it, and then there are high chairs and baby walkers
Yeah.
and blankets. So it sounds like an earlier time in maybe
Mhm.
in my life. And then I go further in, and then I see the vases and the ceramic and items of my aunts and uncle. So it's
Yeah.
almost like a timeline that I'm
Yes.
going through in the cave.
Wow. That's really good. Yeah, you're right. That's what it feels like. And the thing that's the most striking about, since I've had this dream multiple times about the cavernous storage place, is that these really super delicate things are up on these uh, dirt shelves. So it's sort of talk about juxtaposition. I never can say, that's a hard word for me to pronounce. Juxtaposition is that it's like something so delicate and fragile and refined is in this very crude um, kind of cave-like area. And
Primal. Is this
yeah,
primal? Maybe
yeah,
What
right.
did you say, Viviana?
primal.
Primal,
For me,
Ah,
the cave, dirt, primal,
right.
and
earthy.
super earthy.
Well,
Yeah.
you would think though, you would see, like, if you were going to make it a movie and it's like, okay, what are we going to put in this cavern? You'd think clay, little pottery and things like this. But this is like stuff that's been machine manufactured, things that are, like we're talking like crystal vases and the ceramic thing. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, created a lot of ceramics in her life, and I actually have a number of her items in my house. um I mean, like, vases that she painted flowers, and so it's also connected to the creativity of
Yes.
my grandmother, and my father too, in some ways creates things. He never really got into ceramics, but he makes little, like he made this hot plate thing for me that's made of tile, and then he made the little um, stand out of wood to put it on. So there's this level of the creativity of the ancestors, at least my most immediate ones that I know of. So that's sort of a
Yeah,
connection as well.
and ceramics are made of clay, which is earth, and
Right.
ceramics are usually used to nourish us.
Mm,
Handmade objects are have imperfections, maybe they're not as perfect,
yeah.
and they're more. Mm, they're very creative, and so
Mm-hmm.
I find them more valuable. So there's something in in what's in the ceramic that I'm overlooking.
Yeah,
What is
right.
it?
What is it? I
That's
I
for another dream.
yeah, really. I gotta start looking through
Go
this stuff.
go
No,
digging.
I'm just saying in the ceramics that are in my house that belong to my grandmother.
Right.
What what beautiful.
Oh, look, you know what? I have something right. Hang on a second. I'm gonna grab this right now. I have a show and tell. It happens to be right. Oh, see, I disappeared. This is a little like pillbox kind of thing that she
Mhm.
decorated. It can see it's kind of faded over time, but those are the
Oh,
flowers that she's painted on there. And inside is like it's like a jewel box or whatever. And I put Leela's braid from when she first cut her hair. And um, yeah, so that's like a little connection to the past and to the future. It's a little chipped up. It's got gold on the edges, but that's an example of the kind of stuff she really delicately painted these flowers and stuff. And I have some pictures
Beautiful.
and jars and different things throughout my house.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah.
So
So
much creativity in that.
mhm.
A,
So,
a wealth, like a fountain of creativity that it soars in my blood, in my veins, in my
yeah,
being, in my soul.
right, right.
I appreciate that too, how the clay is of earth and the artwork is of earth
Mm,
and the cave is of earth. And for me, this is a deeper,
uh-huh.
pun intended, indication that I'm going beyond
Yeah,
the human made uh, structures, storage structures. I'm going into the earth made cave structures. So that's how much deeper this dream is for me now at this moment in my life.
I'm making faces because this huge clap of thunder, I don't know if you heard it,
I
and
Mm.
did
it
hear it.
actually shook the house. Oh,
Mm.
and my ears just popped. That's weird. Right when you said that, that was
I
like
heard it.
that was like if it was a movie.
Well,
Zeus speak.
That was
yeah.
great. I was like, well, good timing. Good timing, dream people. Yeah. So
No,
that's a
Royce
huge
is Zeus too.
I was like, whoa. I was like, it was like I'm actually feeling it move. It's because it was right above our house. It was like, whoa.
Mhm, mhm,
It came through.
mhm,
Wow. That was something else.
mhm.
Oh,
Well, it's beautiful how the waking and sleeping world are joining together in this moment.
yeah.
We can have thunder all the time or anytime. And now when it happens, it's just like in this tender, vulnerable, authentic space in my cave, in my heart.
Yeah.
This boom is a way to give an amazing exclamation point
Mhm.
to the
Absolutely.
insights of
That,
where I am in my journey.
that felt perfectly timed. I couldn't have written it better. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I got a lot of ahas with this, guys. Thanks very much. Like you said, why didn't I think about goodwill? I mean, but I talked to Child Protective Services. Um, and he's like, nah, we can't even take it. So what about, so I know what I would say if it was somebody else's dream, but this female person who's with me throughout
Mm,
the whole thing, and this is sort of something that happens frequently in my dreams where there's somebody right next to me, but it's sort of like if you turn, there you can't see them because they turn with you, and it's that kind of feeling of a presence, but I never really get a good look at her, but I know she's familiar, and she's sort of helping me with this.
So she's a friend rather than. What's the energy behind her?
It feels as though um like she's there to aid me with the release of these items, like trying to help me sort it out and decide what to do. And it even kind of like there's a little bit of a maybe memory of that this woman is the one who suggests child protective services. Like there's just kind of like that, that vague feeling of like she either makes a phone call or there's some suggestion or something. And you know how dreams are.
Yeah, that brings to mind the Donna, the waking life Donna,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
who is my waking life protector or form,
Right.
who's out for my highest good, who promotes me,
Mm-hmm.
who believes in me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. She's been a wonderful, incredible advocate on my behalf. I mean, just incredible. Just I can't say enough about it. She's been a real loving friend.
Yeah, I resonate with that also. And there, so again, dream logic,
Uh-huh.
Royce logic. This energy that is Donna in my dream that
Yeah.
I don't actually see, I just know that her presence is with me, also reflects some ancestral energies
Mm.
that have somehow saved me in some through awful times, ancestors that I may not know. And
Mm-hmm.
the metaphorical or literal energy that's with me all the time. And Donna is a personification. She's the incarnation, she's the flesh and blood of this energy that
Mm.
has shown up in the waking world and is always with me anyway.
Right.
And so in the dream, I mean, if we all have this,
Yeah.
uh, the, the other aspect for me is um, I'm attuned to this in my dream. I, it, I don't always consciously know that these energies are with me. In my dream, I'm attuned to this,
Yeah.
and that is an important revelation for my past, present, future, past, present
Yeah.
experience of my journey.
It's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. I like that. It's just all happening at once. And that I loved it what you said before about how Donna, on some level, even though we didn't consciously know each other, there was already a Donna presence in somehow protecting over me. It's like, in Cinderella, having the fairy godmother, so maybe Donna's energy was with me even when I was that 3-year-old kid with the terrible fever.
Right. And here I need to say this to reflect some of my theological understanding.
Mm-hmm.
These beautiful energies do not stop, cannot stop, planes from crashing into buildings.
Right.
Okay, that's not the deal. The deal is these energies are with us
Right.
at the depths of our being. And so, even though those tragedies cannot be stopped, or at least maybe some can, maybe some can't, but their energies are with us,
Right.
so that we can be, so that we can be, so we can be. And we are, because of their passion and love for us. To me, that's more important than stopping a speeding bullet. I want the bullet stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, okay, I have these energies with me.
Right. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that idea.
Protective energies,
Yeah.
whether I'm a child or an adult.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, protective. Yeah. So one last thing is like, I use this, the man from CPS, he tells us he tells us, see, he's talking to both. I say yes because I remember the other woman there now. He says they have a glut of donated items. Now that's not a word I would normally use, glut. So any thoughts about that? Because it's just an odd word. Glut.
I'm generous. So and I feel that people need to reuse. Why throw things away? I'm very much that way. And the fact that somebody would think that they have too much, maybe there's an abundance. No, that a flood. Glut to me is it's like it's too much emotion, maybe too much too much
I have an
trauma.
aha. Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Drama and trauma. Too much trauma. I have a glut. I didn't realize that I don't use that word very often. And so that is an important word in my dream. I could have used a lot of words, and I use this word. And this glut of trauma overwhelms my system.
Well, I'm looking it up just to see the root, because I would think, because glut would be like in gluttony, right? Like it's like too much, like
I guess
to feed or fill to satiate, to feed or fill to excess. So it's interesting because to glut the appetite, I didn't realize this, is to feed or fill to satiate. Yeah. And to glut the appetite. And then number 2, to feed or fill to excess. And then, like you said, Viviana, number 3, to flood the market with a particular item or service so that the supply greatly increases the demand. To choke up, to glut a channel. Wow.
I like the channels in my house in waking
life. A full supply. So we have, that's not a word I would ever use for describing that. I would say, the guy would say, we have just like a boatload of stuff, or a shitload of it, so like something like that. I would never use the word glut. That's why I put it in my notes. I put it in parentheses, quotation marks, because it stood out to me as an odd word for him to use. We have a glut of donations right now. So
it just reminds me of the gray water that I have a glut of gray water.
Oh God, that's right. Oh, geez. Yeah. Well, now.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, now that the leak has been repaired, but what's interesting now that we don't have the lower cabinets, the drain pipe is exposed. So every time you use the sink or anything, you hear the trickle of water like so clearly, and it's like, oh, no wonder this became such a big deal and why the leak was such a problem, because you don't realize how often the water, you just don't think of that consciously. You wash your hands, you wash your dishes, but to hear that trickle of water every single time we run the water, it brings it so much more into awareness now that it's all exposed. Yeah. Definitely the waking dream connected with this. So thank you.
Are we ready to bring our dream work to an arbitrary close?
I've had a glut of projections. Thank you very much. So I'm satiated at the moment. So thank you.
Well, I do want to ask this. So I'll take a risk. And one of the things that all 3 of us have sometimes talked about is the hesitation that Billie the dreamer has expressed about feeling so introverted to not work on a dream in this setting. Okay, you do Billie does work on dreams, not in this podcast setting.
Right.
And so that's a beautiful way to say to all of us, we don't have to, it's not required. We do at the level of our comfort where we can, where
Right.
we are comfortable. And having known that now, I just have this wonderful curiosity question.
Mhm.
What is it like for the dreamer to do what the dreamer has done? And
Mm.
yeah, is that okay to ask?
Sure.
And is it okay to answer?
Perfectly valid question. I think this is one of the things when we say dreamer's choice, we
Mhm.
have to, everybody who's new to this, understand that what we really mean by that is it really is dreamer's choice. So that means
Mhm.
that if I don't want to say something about my dream, or if I don't even want to share a dream, I mean, Vivi, you guys know every time I start a group, that's the first thing I ask, and somebody checks in. Do you want to be in the bowl tonight? And so often, occasionally people go, well, no, not tonight. I'm not dreaming, or I just worked a dream, or I just want to listen. So this is, for me, working a dream is very, well, of course, it's very vulnerable. And mostly it's because of having to talk about my family of origin, which of course
Mhm.
comes up quite a lot. There's a glut of that. I'm going to use that word. No, I'm just going to keep using it.
It's a great
Activate
new
the word.
word to use.
There's a glut of trauma in my family. And so much of it, I feel I don't really want to revisit publicly. I will revisit it, in private often, but but I think, I hope it helps others that have similar histories. And there's lots of dysfunction out there. So there's a glut of
Hello.
it.
So you're saying this is okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because to me, it's
Yeah,
important.
hesitantly.
It's
Yeah.
important to know this because
Yeah.
our effort is to treat the sharings with love and compassion and sacredness.
Yeah.
And I guess I just need to know if that's how you feel, how we treated your beingness.
Yeah. I thought it was excellent dream work. You guys really hit on some really important things that helped me to understand the dream better. So thank you. I really appreciate it, because
Mhm.
I hadn't worked a dream for a while. So yeah.
Well, wonderful. Should we
Yeah.
button up the episode?
Yeah. Sounds like a good plan to me.
Well, you listener, if you have a dream that you would like to share with us, we have a dreamer hotline, and that number is 720-573-9195. Again, 720-573-9195. And Billie, tell us about Wake Up to Your Dreams and what you can offer.
Yeah. So on my website, wakeuptoyourdreams.com, you can see a place there that says sessions and groups, and you can arrange for a private session or join us for the groups. We always have a wonderful time. I have a group that meets twice a month in the daytime on Thursdays, and twice a month in the evening on Wednesdays. And I'm also training others to become dream workers as well, and that's under the Rocky Mountain Institute for Projective Dream Work. And also I have an upcoming in-person retreat that's happening. And there's like one room left, so if there's somebody out there who wants to travel,
And room for commuters.
There's room for yes, and if you have exactly, there's lots of room left
from Chicago or LA or wherever. Yeah.
Right. If you have somewhere to stay locally and you want to join us, there is a commuter rate as well. So that's all on the website at wakeuptoyourdreams.com.
Excellent. And roycebits.com.
Yeah, thank you.
On Instagram, on TikTok, on the World Wide Web. Tell us
Well,
about your offerings, Royce.
yes, thank you. I get a little befuddled when you are so playful with that stuff. So I'll try to recover. Yes, please go to my website, roycefitz.com. And I'm a spiritual counselor and dream worker. I've spent many, many years in the more how do we call it, waking life world of clinical psychotherapy. And I am licensed as a marriage and family therapy and still continue to love doing that kind of work. In reflection to the dream world and borrowing a bit of Billie's images, the dreams help all of us go into the deep caves of our unknowing for our health, healing, wholeness, and wisdom. And so I invite you to reach out to me to converse about dreams and the journeys of life that all of us carry, that you carry. And yeah, I am on TikTok and having fun. I am appreciating the feedback that I get, the inspiration that I receive as I experience people's stories and all of our geographies as humans and as beings and on the earth that we live within and upon. So that's a bit of who I am. Thank you.
That's great. Well, I'm Viviana, can be reached at viviana.org, viviana.org. I'm a musician and the producer of this podcast because I'm just in love with dreaming. I'm in love with the language of metaphors and symbols and archetypes and that the dreams bring out. And historically, I'm also an astrologer and I read the tarot.
Yeah.
But that, like Billie has her private side and then her public side. My astrology has always been my private side. I've kept it very hidden. And now I'm kind of coming out with it. Or it's kind of fusing together. Anyway, you listener, we would love it if you could send us a like or a share wherever you may be listening to us. And again, a nudge, nudge, nudge to call the Dreamer hotline 720-573-9195. Until next time, happy dreaming.